Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our major stories tonight. For a second time, the Senate rejects nomination of Ibrahim Magu as substantive chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The Senate insists on compelling appearance of Comptroller General of Customs before lawmakers in the upper chamber tomorrow. Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister meets with Nigerians resident in South Africa, offers assurances of protection of their rights. And South Sudanese gunmen killed 20 people in attack on Ethiopia's Gambela province. For more on our top stories and others, please visit our websites channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. You can also watch us on the go on your mobile device. Log on to m.channelstv.com or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. Having the Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have the Eyewitness feature, so you too can be part of the news. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions to share those pictures, videos, or news of happenings around you. Let's take a look at some of the pictures that you sent into Eyewitness Portal. First is this one from Marina in Lagos, where concerned pensioners of the Nigeria Ports Authority staged a peaceful protest at the headquarters of the NPA, demanding their unpaid pension arrears. Still in Lagos State, our next photo shows refuse dumped along Jakonde First Gate, Lekki Ekpe Expressway. Our Eyewitness reporter wants the relevant authorities to prevent residents from dumping refuse on the road. Next is this one from Ilorin Ogbomosho Old Road in Kwara State. Our Eyewitness reporter says the risk taken by these students and the driver of this taxi makes it necessary for the Federal Road Safety Corps to stop such acts by drivers. Our final picture tonight comes from Abuja. It's of a fire outbreak in Maitama Extension. Eyewitness reporters asking the fire service agency to be proactive during situations like these. Thanks for sending in those pictures and please keep them coming. To other stories now, the Federal Executive Council has approved the establishment of the Nigeria Industrial Policy and Competitiveness Advisory Council to be headed by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo. The body is to assist the government in enhancing the performance of the industrial sector in the country and will be made of ministers and some members of the private sector. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Okechukwu Enelama, says the council will help to drive the economic recovery and growth plan of the President's administration. Our State House correspondent, Chukwuma Onekusi, reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari, in white flowing kaftan, steps into the council chambers to preside over the Federal Executive Council meeting, the first following his return from London. He calls for the national anthem and opening prayers from the transport and the information ministers, jokingly. They sat for about 2 hours and two major national issues occupy their minds here: how to prevent and control disease and how to industrialize Nigeria. The Federal Executive Council is pleased with what the Center for Disease Control has done since its establishment in 2012 in checking Ebola, Lassa fever and other diseases. Council has therefore approved a legal framework to enable it perform its role maximally the way it is done in developed world.
What we have done today is to provide the legal framework for this agency so that it can validly perform the role that is expected of such a frontline intervention agency. It is patterned after the United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention, which was established in 1946. So the whole concept is not new. What is new is that we decided to move ahead with it in Nigeria.
The Health Ministry will work with the National Assembly for the Act of Parliament. On how to industrialize the country, the Federal Executive Council approved the establishment of the Nigerian Industrial Policy and Competitiveness Advisory Council with the Vice President as chairman and some ministers and private sector players as members, beyond the economic recovery and growth plan of the federal government.
The main objective of this council is to assist the government in formulating policies and strategies that will enhance the performance of the industrial sector in furtherance of the country's industrialization program. Specifically, many of you will recall that the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, which is now being launched by the government, includes industrialization as one of the key pillars. Of the top 3 priorities, industrialization is one. And you do need a mechanism for actualizing that. Secondly, you also recall that we have the Nigeria Industrial Revolution Plan, which is a plan that was actually formulated in 2013 by the previous government. This government is implementing that plan. You also need an institutional framework for working with the private sector to implement the Nigeria Industrial Revolution Plan.
The Federal Executive Council believes that it is the place of government to provide the enabling environment for industries to thrive in partnership with the private sector, and that the Industrial Council will provide the synergy for them to work together to achieve the objective. Chukwuma Onwekusi, Channels Television News.
Yes. Handing over now to Gloria Omezoke, who's in Abuja. She has more on the news at 10. Hi, Gloria.
Well, thank you, Amarachi. We begin with politics, and the Ahmed McAfee faction of the People's Democratic Party says it is holding merger talks with 15 political parties. Speaking at a meeting of the party's northern leaders in Abuja, the head of the faction's reconciliation committee, Professor Jerry Gana, said a two-party system is the best for the country.
This is another effort to resolve the crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party. Prominent members of the party from the northern part of the country, including former ministers, former governors, and former federal lawmakers, are in attendance. The meeting starts with the head of the Reconciliation Committee, Professor Jerry Gana, reminding the members present of the founding principles of the party. But looking forward, he informed the gathering that the party is holding major talks.
I want to underscore the building in Nigeria of a free and democratic society, essentially with a two-party system. There may be other parties, but let there be two main parties so that at elections, the choices will be very clear. And that is why, as you mandated us, we've been liaising with a number of friendly parties to see that we can flow together.
The meeting provides an opportunity for the party to conduct some soul-searching and question the genesis of the present leadership crisis.
What we are trying to resolve, in fact, involves the whole of the country. The moment we allow PDP to be muscled out by whatever means, believe me, that will be the beginning of the end of Nigeria. So we must do everything possible to come together.
If everybody formally resigns, surely a vacuum is created. Then, if everybody is to resign, the solicitors from Sharif, the solicitors from the organs of the party should now sit down, look at all the legal judgment and other things, and draw up an MOU that will serve as settlement of parties.
This faction of the party hopes to resolve the leadership crisis ahead of the 2019 general elections.
A call center for Nigerians living abroad is in the works, in addition to other bilateral efforts to protect their rights in host countries. Well, this is according to Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister, Geoffrey Oyama, who met with Nigerian citizens, along with his counterpart in Interior, Ibrahim Dambazao, to hear their issues of concern. Speaking to Channels Television in Pretoria, Mr. Oyama gave details of the call center and some other outcomes of his visit to South Africa following the recent attack on foreign nationals. Our Johannesburg Bureau Chief, Betty Dibia, reports.
It was as vibrant as a typical Nigerian gathering, sometimes emotional, sometimes nice, and others not so nice.
Our government is weak. Our government do not protect us. You don't protect us. You have come and have teas and dinners and they lunch with them and they massage you and we are going back. I promise you, this problem is going to continue.
We have not come here on a holiday.
we've come here for a purpose, and you are that purpose. And it will break our hearts if we have to suffer any insult from you. It could be a win-win, if we engage.
There was room for most to speak, and the ministers gave assurances.
Dialogue is the best option, and this is what we are adopting.
Very much our priority, and we are not going to let go until we see that you are here living in security, your property, your lives, and your profession. Thank you.
One of those present at the gathering was the wife of jailed Henry Oka Azuka, who spoke privately to the Foreign Affairs Minister.
I wanted him to be aware that my husband had been assaulted twice in prison, and I went to visit him on the 26th of February, and he was just like a mere skeleton. So I want to make sure that he's alive.
He's a Nigerian, so, the government has an obligation to protect and defend Nigerians wherever they are. So clearly, as a Nigerian, we will be extremely concerned at any maltreatment he might suffer.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs also told us that a call center is in the offing for Nigerians abroad to reach his ministry more directly with the issues bothering them.
24/7 call center for Nigerians anywhere in the world, so that Nigerians can call that number and inform us of any challenges they're facing anywhere in the world, and the government will then be seized of that matter immediately.
The ministers have returned to Nigeria this Wednesday, but some Nigerian legislators are still in South Africa on the xenophobia issue, and many Nigerians are quite pleased at this intervention.
It will, make a great impact in the sense that the government of South Africa will now see that we have representatives of our government, in the country, to see to it that the problem we are facing here as Nigerians are taken care of.
The hope, however, is that all the assurances given will be followed up to avoid returning to the same spot again. From Pretoria, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
When the news at 10 returns, Nigeria Consumer Protection Council reaffirms mandates to protect the rights of consumers as the world marks World Consumer Rights Day. That's in business news.